Well, it's the post-draft spectacular. We got Jalen Carter. We got the Philly Dogs, Stetson Bennett, and plus more here on Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. All right, welcome in. Happy Wednesday. It's the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. Corey Burton, Israel Troop is joining me from Ware County. You guys got a bunch of these coaches coming through, right?
We do. You know, it's that time of the year for recruiting. And, you know, I've been busy all morning meeting with those guys and, you know, trying to promote our guys. So, you know, it's a busy time, you know, during the springtime and especially in South Georgia and really across the country.
Yeah, it's I see them out. They're all over here at Middle Tennessee as well. So, you know, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see these opportunities for these kids, and I think there's going to be some good things happening. So, well, we are presented by Betonline.ag. It's your number one source for all your basketball info, stats, news, and scores. Don't let hockey sell you short. Also, get the latest odds, lines, including your latest player reports from this year's NBA playoffs or NHL playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs, including basketball, MLB, NHL, UFC, and boxing, plus more. BetOnline is the fastest, easiest way to get your betting information, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games you play right from your home. So head to the website today, or you can use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. If you don't know how to spell BELIEVE, it's right here on the screen. BetOnline is where the game starts. So it was a very, very interesting NFL draft. Lots of things happened. Lots of interesting things happened, as it does. I feel like this year was probably one of the more active first rounds that I've seen in quite some time. Philly made a few moves. Philly decided that they wanted to resurrect the 2021 Georgia defense. So they've got now 5 pieces from that defense, including Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Kelee Ringo, who were additions through this year's draft. So let's talk about the Philly Dogs. Let's start there. Your first thought when Jalen Carter gets drafted. My first thought was, okay, great. I knew they wanted him. Talked about it with Joe on our last episode. When I had Joe on about the pre-draft stuff, I knew Philly was really zeroed in on Jalen Carter. I knew they would try to trade up. They only traded up 1 spot instead of 4, which is what I anticipated them doing, but they ended up with their guy, Jalen Carter. I knew as soon as they drafted him, like, okay, if Nolan Smith falls, he could fall to their spot. I don't think he gets past Philly at pick 30. He did not. And then Kelee Ringo, day 4, I kept thinking Philly was going to pick him in the 2nd and 3rd round, but he fell to the 4th round. But what do you think seeing all these guys? You're a Cowboys fan, I think. What do you think seeing all these guys going to Philly? You're gonna have to root for Philly a little bit, aren't you?
It hurts my soul to see all these guys go to Philly. You know, I'm excited for them, of course, but I know Philly and Dallas, you know, we're in the same league on that side of the NFC. So I'm like, God, dog. Well, they just reload. You know what I mean? Right. So, I mean, just seeing those guys, you know, get the opportunity. Keith Gray, you know, who's a strength coach at Georgia.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know Keith.
He's also the strength coach at Philly right now too. So I mean, obviously, you know, he
also traded for DeAndre Swift too.
Yeah, so he knows the pedigree. So, DeAndre Swift is now with Philly now as well. So I mean, Philadelphia is starting to become dog country. I'm excited for those guys. You know, seeing you know, Jalen Carter go where we all expected him the first time is absolutely phenomenal. Goes to show, you know, character issues and things like that weren't really an issue. The Athens police and that whole deal didn't hold merit, you know, to him, you know, as a player and more so as a person. So I'm very happy to see that. And to see Nolan, you know, coming off an injury this year, you know, and still go first round, you know, which was predicted, you know, first round, you know, early second anyway. to get that chance and to reunite with the two we already got. I mean that's great. I mean it's pretty much a Georgia team right now. Minus Signal Caller who's an Alabama guy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically the Philadelphia Crimson Bulldogs is basically what their team is like. And it's very obvious they did their homework. Kelee Ringo, injury concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Nolan Smith, injury concerns. Jalen Carter, obviously the character concerns that people had with this whole incident. They seem to do their homework on that. Did not affect them one bit. The pro day workout did not affect him one bit in their eyes. And so he is a Philadelphia Eagle. They will reap all the benefits from that. I'm excited for Jalen Carter because him and Jordan Davis together when they were at Georgia, you're not running on that duo. Mm-hmm. You're certainly not passing with Jalen Carter's interior pass rush moves from the 3 technique, or if they want to go odd front, they can slide him out to the edge and he can play a wide 5 and come after you. In some of those packages that they may have, they can get creative. That's what I like about this selection. They can get creative with their defenses. Now they have Nolan Smith as an edge rusher guy. He can create some pressure. Again, they're just going to work on getting him back to 100% because I'm not sure if he's quite at 100% as far as football goes. I know he's got full range of motion. I know he's probably been cleared to work out some, but football's a different animal. And then Kelee Ringo, a huge steal in the 4th round there with the Philadelphia Eagles. And dude is going to join a star-studded defensive backfield up there with
Darius Slay, who came back.
Yeah.
And one thing too, you forget about that interior. They still got Fletcher Cox there as well. So I mean, the D line for Philly is going to be absolutely ridiculous. So I'm very happy for those guys. And you hate to see Kelee fall, but we talked about it. Throughout this year. This year was just a struggle. Whether it was injuries or things like that. So but at the end of the day, you're going to bounce back. And if you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to get the money that you deserve. So. Being drafted is an honor anyway, regardless of what round you go. So it's up to you to take the opportunity and make it work.
Yeah, and for him to get in that situation with what Philly's got going on, Sirianni, I guess he meant it literally when he said he wanted a dog mentality. Mm-hmm. I guess he meant that literally, but for him to get in such an experienced defensive backfield, they're not going to have to rely on him. And he can the things that happened beyond the injury concerns that made him fall to the 4th round, he can work on those things and not have the pressure of carrying a defensive backfield on his shoulders as a rookie. And that for Kelee to be able to be in that situation, whereas let's say he gets drafted by the Saints. Mm-hmm. He's going to be expected to step right in with the Saints. Let's say he goes to like the Carolina Panthers or any other organization that doesn't have strong defensive backfields. He's going to be expected to carry this thing. And especially in a league where you have a lot of elite receivers, he doesn't have to match up on those guys right away, which is really, really good.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, we talked about it, and I just hope he gets up there and learn. You got one of the guys in Darius Slay who's really, really good at the position. He went, late in the draft. We didn't really know what he was going to do. Yeah. Now, I mean, look, he's balling right now too. Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those deals to where.
And then they have Bradbury too.
Yes, here we go. Let's go and let's see what this guy can do. So, I'm very excited for those guys and to see how they progress. Especially with minicamp, rookie minicamp, things like that. So, I think they'll be fine. Yeah,
they'll be totally fine. I think injury concerns will be. They'll get well taken care of with those medical staffs, and they'll be just fine. But I'm excited for those guys. I'm not excited that it's Philly. I wish it was a different organization.
I'm not excited about it either, but hey, I'll root for those guys.
Yeah, I'll root for those guys. I really like what Sirianni's doing up there, so I can root for that. So I don't have to necessarily say I'm a Philly fan now, but yeah. So I'm excited about those guys, the Philly Dogs, man. That's gonna be a lot of fun to watch because you're gonna see a defense that's really tightly meshed because half of the defense played in college together.
There you go.
So let's look at Stetson Bennett. I think he was after Hendon Hooker, after the top 5 guys that you knew were going to get drafted first. I did not have Stetson Bennett on my card of quarterbacks to be first drafted in that bunch. I did not think Stetson Bennett, I'll admit, I didn't think Stetson Bennett was going to go in the 4th round. I thought he was going to be more 6th, 7th round, maybe even undrafted free agent.
The Rams said, we got you, big dog. Come on over here. I honestly thought that the Ravens might pick him up, honestly.
I did too.
Because, the Monken system, he already knows it.
Yeah.
He think he's a quality backup for Lamar, who just signed his big deal as well, because he knows the system.
Yeah.
To see him go to the Rams, and first of all, to see him get drafted, that's one thing that we all talked about.
Yeah.
To see him get drafted and, to see that obviously he cares right now, is great for him. And I mean, he is 2-time national champion, at the University of Georgia, something that's never been done before too. So, the potential for that to happen was always there. I mean, his competitive nature just gave him a leg up on everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sean McVay, I think he even said, "Hey, I'm glad he was available in the 4th round for when it came around to us, because the intangible stuff, the leadership things that he possesses are really, really good. Just some of the throws he made throughout the course of this season, you could see the development that he underwent with Todd Monken, Mike Bobo, and Buster Faulkner. Some of the throws were next level throws. Some of the throws he made in 2020 and 2022 were not throws that he made in 2021. So you saw the development, and I think Sean McVay's system is great for him. Now, will he ever be the starter? I don't know.
You never know.
Matt Stafford is not exactly the healthiest person on earth right now. He's had some neck issues. He's had a couple of things that almost knocked him into retirement, concussions, neck injuries, things like that. So I don't see John Wolford beating him out.
No,
they don't have Baker Mayfield anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those deals where when they got rid of Baker Mayfield, and he went to Tampa, I think it's one of those deals to where, all right, who can we get that kind of has Baker's skill set?
That was Stetson's comp.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, if I'm looking at this draft, who can move and do things kind of like Baker does, and the next person on that list, was Stetson.
Yeah.
I think they were looking for a guy like that, and they got him in Stetson.
Yeah, it was either Stetson or Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I don't think they wanted Hooker. I think Hooker would have been good in Los Angeles, but I think they wanted somebody with a little more moxie, I guess, or a little more personality, kind of a little bit of chip on his shoulder type situation, because that's who Sean McVay is. Sean McVay has their personalities are very similar, so I think that's a good fit for Stetson Bennett. I think there was only really 2 really good fits. I just said really like 10 times. I think there was 2 really good fits for Stetson Bennett, Baltimore being one, I think the Rams being another. And I would say San Francisco, but they already have Stetson Bennett. His name is Brock Purdy. Yeah. They're very similar too in the way that they play. So I'm excited for Stetson, man. It's going to be, his skill set fits in perfectly with what LA's trying to do. They play action a lot, move the pocket some. His scrambling ability with some of these rush ends that they have in their league in the NFC West. I think it's a perfect complement to what he wants to do offensively with the Los Angeles Rams. And he's got a weapon in Cooper Kupp if he gets in that situation. Now, hopefully for Matt Stafford's sake, they're not in that situation in Stetson's rookie year, but you never know.
Absolutely. It's good to have a fellow dog there with you too. Kind of take you on his wing too. And it just also depends on, the health of Matthew Stafford. Like you said, he hasn't had the full, good look, for health. And that just shows you how tough the NFL is, but I know, Matt's a tough guy, and he'll bounce back, but you always got to have a guy that can come in and, run your system the exact same way. And having a guy like Matthew Stafford there to kind of take Stetson in and show him the ropes is wonderful.
Absolutely, man. So excited for those guys, excited for our Philly Dogs. Let's go to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh got a couple of dogs. Broderick Jones in the 1st round. I thought that was a great pick. They got a great tackle.
Absolutely.
They solidified their offensive line. They got an extremely athletic offensive tackle. I think I put out a quick reaction to the 1st round, talked about Broderick Jones a little bit. So if you want to hear some more about that, go check out that episode. But and they also got Darnell Washington. So imagine lining those 2 up together again on the end of the line of scrimmage. Darnell Washington fell because of injury concerns. I thought he was a 2nd round guy, fell into the 3rd round, which day 2 is day 2. It doesn't really matter. He's on a roster. He's on a roster that's going to fit his skill set. him and Pat Freiermuth are going to be a really good duo at the tight end position for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought they came away, as far as Georgia's concerned, they came away with a really, really good draft. I think overall they had a really good draft because they got Joey Porter Jr. With the first pick in the second round, which is outstanding as well. So, I mean, I thought their first 3 picks were incredible.
Absolutely. You see it, with those guys. And, the Steelers, they figured it out as well, especially with the Dawg Connect. You got Pickens there, already. Yeah. So they see the pedigree, what he brings to the table. Yeah. And then, I hate to see Darnell fall. Had he had an injury-free year, forget everything from before. If he just had an injury-free year this year.
He might have been the first one taken.
He might have been the first one taken because,
he might be the one sitting in Detroit.
Yeah, you don't get 6'7", that's physical, can move the way he does like that. So, no. And getting Broderick to solidify that line up front, I mean, it's huge. So, I mean, Philadelphia's figured it out. Yeah. I mean, not Philadelphia, Pittsburgh,
The state of Pennsylvania. Let's just blanket it here. The state of Pennsylvania has figured it out.
But they figured it out. Coach Tomlin's a great guy. I've heard nothing but great things about Coach Tomlin. So he's going to take those guys and he's going to mold them. And as you can see, he's a high character guy too as well. Because, all those things you hear about George Pickens, you haven't heard, about anything, with them either. So,
of course, he's had his flare-ups, but, I mean, that's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's football.
In the heat of the moment. Yeah, I mean, that's not a big deal.
And he's a competitor. So, I mean, if you're not competing, things like that, come on now. Yeah. It's football guys at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff's going to happen. I mean, nothing came of it. I mean, if he'd have got suspended, there would have been more to it. But it was just what the fans see and what actually the actual, I guess, encounters or the daily interactions that happen are 2 totally different things most of the time. So, but yeah, I mean, great Dawg connection there. You always see Mike Tomlin at Georgia's pro days, probably for a reason. But I thought, man, Darnell Washington – being able to do what he does, being a red zone target for Kenny Pickett, I think helping a young quarterback out to have such a big target is really, really beneficial. I think what helped out Jared Goff for half of the year last year before they traded him was having TJ Hawkinson out there while some guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown was starting to come into his own and, DJ Shark was getting healthy and some of those receivers were getting on board. I think until that happened, you saw TJ Hawkinson having a big year with Jared Goff, and Jared Goff really kind of developed with that tight end. They go and get Sam Laporta, which is a very similar player to TJ Hawkinson, same exact university. No coincidence there, but that kind of impact that a tight end can have on a rookie, on a rookie or even second-year quarterback is huge. I mean, look at Trevor Lawrence down in Jacksonville with Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram steps into the room. Now Trevor Lawrence is no longer a bust.
Yes.
Cole Kmet, which, I mean, he's not even a great tight end. He's a solid tight end for the Bears, and he helped Justin Fields a lot last season.
Yeah, people forget, how important the tight end is. When we got Brock Bowers, you kind of see how important that guy is. Darnell comes in, you see how important that guy is, and Darnell's, favor, he kind of looks like an NFL player already. So,
he's like an NBA player too,
and the body. That can help him in the trenches and things like that. So I think he's going to do well. I think he's in a great system. Like I said, I mean, you can't say enough about Mike Tomlin, the things that he's done in Pittsburgh.
He's been around.
It's been the consistency and the structure that he's done, especially with player development, things like that. I mean, it's huge.
I mean, there's a reason he's been around for 15 years, 16 years. There's a reason, and that's because he's elite. So
they try to get rid of him, and they can't. They can't do it.
They can't do it. They cannot.
Great guy. Great coach.
He's had a losing season. Has he? Unless he's had one?
No, I think if it was one, it was last year. But I think they ended up getting it last year to where he didn't have a losing season.
Yeah. So he's never had a losing season, which is incredible.
Yes.
I mean, you can say all you want to about Super Bowls and this, but that dude's been in the playoffs every single year just about. And if not, he's had a winning record and been on the bubble. So great organization there. The state of Pennsylvania, congratulations. You got some true dogs this year.
Absolutely.
Some of the other notables, Robert Beal going to the 49ers, going to be a great fit there. Can just kind of mix in with those guys and not really have to carry the franchise. I think he was 4th or 5th round pick, something like that. I think he'll fit in quite nicely down there. Not a lot of pressure. I think he'll make it on special teams as well. Warren McClendon getting picked up by the Rams. We'll see kind of how that fit goes. I know Joe DeLeon was kind of disappointed in McClendon's Senior Bowl efforts, but maybe some things changed. So we'll see what happens when he gets into camp. And then, of course, our boy, who I thought was going to go undrafted by the end of this thing, and I'm so excited that he got picked, Kenny Mac.
Absolutely.
Kenny McIntosh going to the Seattle Seahawks in the 7th round. A lot of people were saying that was a steal in the 7th round.
I think it is to have a running back of his caliber who can come out of the backfield, who can run him at 20 tackles, and who has a little burst with him too. So I'm really excited to see that guy get his opportunity. And, at the end of the day, no matter what round you go to, I mean, look at Tom Brady. I mean, the last pick literally of the draft, you know what I mean? Look what he's done. So it's all about what you do with your opportunity and how bad do you want it. So being drafted is an honor. And a lot of people can't say that. So, I think all of our guys, the way that, Kirby and that staff has done to prepare these guys for the NFL is really going to come and help in their favor. I mean, because they're already tough. I mean, they get cussed out every day at practice. So, I mean, nothing that a coach says is going to affect them. So, I'm just looking forward to see how much they thrive and moving forward, and especially those guys that are still at UGA. You can see the pedigree that we're putting out. As an offensive guy, you would like to see a lot more offensive guys, get to that point, but I think it's coming and it's going to come fast.
You're going to see it because
Brock Bowers now is going to be the group that kind of sets offense and defense on the same spectrum.
Yeah, I mean Brock Bowers. You had a first rounder on offense this year with Broderick Jones. You'll have it again next year with Amarius Mims. You'll have it next year with Brock Bowers. You'll have it probably with one of these receivers. One of these transfer guys probably. I would say Dominic Lovett maybe as a slot guy has a chance to be a first rounder, but he'll be an early pick. You'll see Van Pran. If centers are being picked in the first round, he will definitely be the first center off the board whenever that is.
Mims.
I said Mims. Mims will probably be a first rounder. He's a tackle, so he'll definitely be a first rounder because people love picking tackles in the first round. Centers don't necessarily go in the first round a lot.
When you're 6'8" and can move the way you do, it definitely goes in your favor.
Definitely. Just ask Broderick Jones. So, but I was going to circle back to Kenny McIntosh real quick. As a 7th rounder, it's usually tough to make the team. You usually have to kind of make it in special teams. But I think it's going to go beyond that because, they have Walker, right? They have Walker as their lead guy, but they lose Penny. They lose Rashad Penny. They lose Travis Homer. They have DJ Dallas. And then I think you get into mix with DJ Dallas and Kenny McIntosh fighting for that number 2 role. And to me, with Kenny McIntosh being able to come out of the backfield and do some of the things he can do in the passing game, that helps his case to not only make the roster, but to make the frequent rotation with Walker.
Absolutely. Because, at the running back position, an injury here or there, I mean, you're throwing the spotlight, no matter what. So, he just stays the course, does what he's supposed to do, which, he's going to do that. There's no telling, what might happen, going to shoot game 3.
Any of these guys really
in the preseason, you never know what might happen. So, I'm just excited for that guy. He stayed the course. He's done what he's supposed to do. And, it's guys like that, no matter what round they go to, you're like, I'm glad that guy made it.
Yeah, because once you get drafted, you're obviously going to take precedent, or you're going to take priority over on cut day anyway. Like you're going to say, okay, this guy was drafted in the 7th round. And it usually the difference is let's say you're coming down to Kenny McIntosh and some other guy. I think DJ Dallas is going to make the roster.
Yeah.
Obviously he's been there. I think he's going to make the roster. It's that 3rd running back spot. Kenny McIntosh versus another guy. It's going to come down to, can he contribute on special teams?
That part.
If he can contribute on special teams, and he's good enough in the backfield to supplement that, special teams takes priority for those late round guys.
Absolutely.
But if he can contribute in any way on offense, he's in.
Absolutely. And I know he'll do what he's supposed to do because, he plays special team in Georgia. So he's running down on punts, running down on kickoffs. So, I mean, he knows what to do. And, like you said, those late round guys, that's how you make the team, being on special teams.
Yeah, exactly. They're specialty guys. They're niche guys. They're, he's a pass catching specialist. He's not going to be some guy like Kenneth Walker that's going to run in between the tackles 30 carries a game. Like that's not him. Will never be him. And that's okay. specialist in the NFL. Those things work, right? Kenneth Gainwell has made a career so far out of being a specialist, a specialty guy. James White, a specialty guy for New England. Those type of players that can do very specific things usually end up working out. And Kenny McIntosh can do some things that Kenneth Walker is not necessarily great at, which will be value added for him. And I think value added for the franchise because they picked him in the 7th round and not in the 2nd round. So there you go.
Absolutely. So congratulations to all those guys. And if you're thinking about coming to Georgia, check the pedigree, man. Check the pedigree. But defensive guys, offensive guys, I mean, who knew that Kirby could develop players? Who knew?
Well, he's only developed 50 of them to go to the NFL in his time at Georgia. In his 7 years at Georgia, 50, not 15, 50 have gotten drafted. I'm curious to know how many of them are still on rosters. I'm thinking all of them are still on rosters.
Yeah, I think so. I want to say they are.
Maybe Isaac Nauta. Maybe there's a couple from his first year that aren't still on rosters, but I think most of them are still in the league. I think a large percentage, which is still really good.
Absolutely.
Of course, people are going to get cut. Some guys are going to get cut. Some of the late round guys are going to make it a couple of years and then bounce, which is normal. But the staying power, I think, is really good too. And so, again, this is a recruiting pitch. If you're coming to Georgia, understand, just know that the NFL is in sights for you.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, Channing Tindall was not even a starter, and he got drafted.
Yes, he's balling right now.
At the top of day 3. He was a top of day 3 draft pick, and it was not even a starter.
Possibilities are endless.
Just let that marinate.
Yes.
The entire 2021 defense is now drafted in the NFL. We didn't talk about Chris Smith going to the Ravens. No, Raiders, not Ravens. Raiders. Yeah. Yep. We didn't talk about Chris Smith.
Smart guy.
Of course we left out Chris Smith because he's like the quiet assassin.
Yes. And that's smart. They need to bolster that defense up too. So, it's going to be interesting to see what McDaniel does this year with everything going on. So
yeah. I thought they had a decent draft.
In a great class. And I think he's going to do great because it's Chris Smith.
Yeah. He just gets it done. There's no other way to say it. He just gets it done. There's nothing flashy about him. There's nothing like, oh, Chris Smith does this, and this. Like, you just watch the film and 29's in the frame and he's putting a helmet on somebody like that. Just
work every day.
What it is.
That's what he's supposed to do. Handles that back end. Exactly what you want a player like him.
I mean, it's the reason why we only busted probably 10% of our coverages instead of 40 or all of them, really. With that young secondary, I'm surprised we could do a coverage. But Chris Smith had it all organized back there, and so I'm interested to see who's going to fill his shoes at Georgia too. If they're going to be able to communicate the way he can communicate, which I think Starks is that guy. But that's a different thing for a different episode. So we're nearing the end here of this draft spectacular. The Philly Dogs, man, the NFL Dogs, the Philly Dogs, the Pennsylvania Dogs, I should say. But we, a couple programming notes. I'm working on a few guests. I've got one that I'm trying to reel it in. I got it on the hook. I got a couple on the hook that I'm trying to reel in. One of them being the Milton family, both father and son, hopefully.
Can't wait to talk to Papa Milton. I love
working on Hap Hines, former kicker, played, I think was teammates with Kirby in the mid 90s. And then maybe your guy, Terrence Edwards, would want to come on. He's a college football Hall of Famer now.
Absolutely.
So he's got to come on this program because I see a lot of his tweets. Him and I think a lot alike. I don't just agree with him because he's Terrence Edwards. There's some stuff he says. I'm like, dude, like I couldn't have said it more. I couldn't have said it better. But that's my exact thoughts. Like what, So if you follow at TE Wide Receiver Academy, I think it's at TEWR Academy. I think is what his thing is. If you want to go Twitter read, and hopefully he'll be able to come on and share his insights with us as we go. I know you two interact on Twitter a lot, so that's cool, man. But Israel, I'm going to let you get back to talking to all these college coaches.
Yep, I got one walking in right now. I got to go meet.
All right, we'll go get them. But we are the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network, presented by Betonline.ag and the Row One brand. Go get your vintage art watch. We'll see you back here next time. But until then, as always, you know the drill. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Do you believe?